Hello and welcome to the space between ideas. I'm Blaine Gates. I just want to do a quick little audio check before we start. So maybe you want to fast forward 30 seconds just to get past this period. And oh, okay, we got the mic working. Hey, look, we got a notification. Someone liked your comment. All right, it's not really related to what we're doing right now. Okay. So why do I have thinking tools? What is the whole point behind all these thinking tools? Why am I constantly talking about thinking tools? It's because when I was in law school in China over tw 20, 10, is it 10 years ago? I started in 2004. It's now 2025. Oh no, when I started law school 20 years ago in Shanghai. Oh no, 20 years. I remember there's this one professor, he was talking about this the concept of the one person company. It was only a theoretical concept. And now I'm literally doing a one person company. And well, I hired a bunch of AI people to help me with different things. I got an AI code developer. I got an AI assistant, and then now I'm trying to break up my AI assistants into different experiences. And there's another AI assistant that I would like to introduce you to. This is my good buddy, and you might be thinking, Notebook LM. Everybody knows about Notebook LM. What is this? And it's like maybe not. Okay, what do we go? What's happening here in Notebook LM? So first of all, I got the Pro version. So automatically, that means that I got what? I can have 300 sources, which I think the regular limit is 50, but I don't know if that's good or not. Now, what is going on here? Customer story, customer story, customer story, customer story, customer story, customers. I could do this forever. But what you can see is that there's all these customer stories from Monday.com. Why are these useful? Oh no, it deleted it. Uh-oh. Okay, it doesn't matter because I uploaded the information to my Gemini already. So what happened was okay, new topic. I gave this prompt to Notebook LM. Can you give me a summary of the structure of the information and how I could use the information to create user personas that would purchase my product? All of these companies use the website called Monday.com in order to manage projects with task lists that contain status and assigned person and completion dates. My product helped managers to communicate with executives to understand the mission and vision of the company in order to create objectives, and it also helped managers to communicate with those objectives with their teams so that their companies can generate robust task lists. I want to target these companies because they already know the importance of using task management software tool. And therefore, if we could find a method for pulling out information from the sources that could help us write user personas, I would be able to figure out which companies to target for potential customers. My main kind of target is to create lists of targets. To make those customer targets, we should have categories of persona types. I can also use my Google Gemini to work with you during this process. Do you recommend that I ask Google Gemini to tell you what kinds of role it would take in this process? Or do you already understand what can create a report for Google Gemini based on your understanding of my needs? Here's the reply from Notebook LM. Your product, which helps managers communicate with executives to understand mission and vision, to create objectives, and then disseminate those objectives to their teams for robust task lists, aligns well with challenges faced by companies already using work management software like Monday.com. These companies have already recognized the importance of digitalizing, streamlining their operations, making them prime targets for your product. Here's a summary of the information structure in the provided sources and how you can use it to create user personas. Structure of information in the sources. The provided sources are customer stories from various companies that have implemented Monday.com. Each story follows a consistent structure, making it easy to extract relevant information for persona development. All right, so let's take a quick peek. What are we talking about? User personas. So this is a website called Monday.com, and these are called user stories. So they actually have a section. And I just counted them up because it's like we got team size, we got different filters, and I think the filters are not necessarily that interesting because like let's say we just pick this one filter and then suddenly there's not very many companies. So I was like, wait a minute, how many companies are there? So I counted them. We got 3 and like what, 15 down. So, oh, there you go. That's it. That's all their user stories. That's 49. So I put all 49 stories. And what's the okay, so let's click the first one. So we go to the user read story, the how the largest bicycle manufacturer aligned marketing operations, giant industry, company size, teams, products, product use, work management, saved 6,000 hours, 45 teams on fully onboarded in this story. And then it has like a story. Now, as you can see, this is really optimized for SEO. And when you have a page which is optimized for SEO, that means it's really easy for Google, for Notebook LM to read the data. All right. So I just went ahead and I just uploaded I just uploaded all 49 sources to the sources box. And then I can jump over what's discover sources. Interesting. I mean, why not? We could do a live demo. So what I'm interested in is I'm interested in customer stories from companies like Monday.com, for example, ClickUp and Jira for teams using project management software tools to follow tasks. I got all these ones. All right. Customer stories are direct. Well, I could just click it, right? Okay. So then obviously, look, it just gives us the exact same pages we already have. Up customer stories. Aha. In fact, this is good actually. So this is the exact same thing as Monday.com. All right, good. So I can also add these stories to my list of stories. Success stories, detailed insight into Jira's issue tracking and project success teams. I don't know what that is. 3 enterprises who save time by syncing across Jira instances. Okay, maybe this. So Jira is the thing about Jira is it's like it has way, 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 way more. Why you need a project management tool like ClickUp, success stories, syncing Jira instances, delivery impact starts with task management, how to simplify ClickUp, Jira. So I think I could probably do better if I use better keywords. Since I used the exact keyword ClickUp and Jira and money.com, so it just found those exact sources. I would say what's useful in this experience. So what's useful is this. So what you do here is you just take a left click and then you open into the next window and then a left click. That was a right click. Uh, oopsie daisies. And then we take a left click and open it into the window. Now you see here, so here's the actual first. I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry. Now the I don't know, the data is in a slightly different structure, similar. Yeah, look, challenge, solution, impact. It's actually basically the same. It's the same thing. They just copied each other. The challenge, the solution, the impact. It's identical. All right. So then what I can do is I could now I can add. So I can just go in and I can add all those other sources. Now, what's the point of these sources? All right. So yeah, they got the company introduction, then there's the challenge, then there's solution, and then there's the specific use case. Using the information to create user personas. Your product focuses on connecting executives with managers for objective setting and then managers with teams for task list generation. Therefore, your persona should primarily revolve around these roles and their challenges related to strategic alignment and communication. Here are the categories of persona types based on the source word with examples of information to pull for each. Executive leader persona, manager persona, Okay, so let's do this again. So I want to create a prompt for a notebook LM. It has like 50 user stories for companies that use Monday.com. I would like it to outline the core problem your product solves, linking the executive vision to team execution, identify the target persona types, provide a summary of their specific challenges and desired outcomes identified in the Monday.com customer stories, highlights how Monday.com is currently used with these companies to manage tasks, which demonstrates their readiness for a structured solution like yours, explains how your product complements Monday.com, filling the gap in strategic communication and objective alignment. This will allow Google Gemini to immediately understand the context of your specific business needs, enabling it as okay. We will use this data to create a list of companies that we can contact, and those companies should be divided into cohorts. Then I want a prompt that I can use in the future with uh, with deep research to create an exhaustive list of 10,000 companies or as many as possible based on so that I can set up a outreach program or the cohorts and list of companies within those cohorts. I don't know, something like that. I don't know. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just going on in that direction. All right. So what's going on now? Now the thing is that because I got like basically I have like a basic website. Let's go back to what we're our roadmap, launch roadmap. As you can see on the left, we got our product. And when we talk about product, we're talking about value proposition. When we're talking about value proposition, we want to know are the specific elements that are helping. What is the elements of value that you are providing to the world? And right now, so we talked about scoreboard, and then we realized that actually there's already other competitors who are providing this value to the world. So what's the specific value that we offer? Which is brainstorming, a process whereby managers can create objectives and then work with their team to carry out those objectives. Let me give an example. So, yesterday, I had a meeting with one of my students, and this lady, she's she's working in marketing, and over the years, we've been talking for a long time. And over the years, her business has been doing better and better. And suddenly, she becomes the chief marketing officer for the company. At first she was doing like freelance work, and then she got like a bunch of like long term contracts with a variety of companies, and then suddenly data. Data. And then suddenly this company said, "Hey, we want you to actually run our whole marketing program." And it's been really fascinating for me because I've been able to watch her grow. I've been able to watch the entire process, and it's been fascinating. And then now suddenly she is now managing people. And that is actually the key to like my program. So I also had like a really negative experience yesterday. So, I have these trial lessons. A trial lesson is when somebody pays for one lesson and they just want to meet me and they want to ask me about like what are the thinking tools that I teach, what are the benefits I could help them with. And like this lady was from like a finance department. So it's like I always have problems with these people. Like literally I've been doing this gig for quite a while, and I've been doing it like full time for the last 4 years, and I've been doing it, like, for at least 6 years, basically, and what I noticed is that whenever I try to work with people, you've seen that I've talked about this many, many, many times, and the issue is that finance people, they're clerks. They're paper pushers, and so it's like it's so hard because, like, I'm talking to my general audience that is executives and managers. I mean, yeah, it's true. If you're an analyst or if you're a coach, you can also benefit from the thinking tools that I share. Because if you're a coach, then it means that you're working with the managers, you're working with the executives, and you need thinking frameworks to use in order to provide insight and provide thinking for the executives and the managers. And if you're an analyst, also you can use these thinking tools because it can help structure some of the consultant work that you do. In either case, you're trying to provide advice to the managers and the executives, and you're trying to understand what's going on in the world of hands. But whenever I get a student who is like basically just a technician, they're just doing the service or production, they're a clerk, meaning they're a paper pusher, or they're a librarian, meaning that they design and create software. Most of the time, these people they don't last long with my lessons because they're paper pushers. They don't need thinking tools. They don't need frameworks. They don't need analysis. They don't need to think about what can we do? How can we do it? How sure are we? They're not trying to provide advice to their manager. They're just following orders and rules. Anyway, so I got this lady, I'm talking to her. She's from Singapore. And then she just like, terrible. Specifically, what did she say? Okay, I'll tell you specifically. She gave me this feedback. She said it in from the third person. She said, "Well, I was disappointed. Blaine made quick assumptions and generalized in a way that felt dismissive and judgmental, yet made comments that didn't feel respectful. I was hoping for a more professional and open-minded approach." So she left a public review, which was not fun. But she was right, actually. And the thing is, like, why did it happen that way? There's two issues. The first issue is that she's a paper pusher. And I asked her if she's working toward becoming a manager. And she was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a manager. And it's like, okay. Uh, and I just mentioned that, sometimes it's difficult for students that are clerks to really understand this framework. And then I said, all right, well, let's talk about like how can we use our thinking tools in order to get some kind of result, right? So what I'm talking about is like value proposition, like process whereby managers can create objectives and the work their teams carry out in those objectives. She is not a manager. And so she had kind of a negative experience with my lessons. Oh well, you can't win them all. So I got 27 5-star reviews, and now I have one-star review. Now, I don't know, I'm kind of a jerk. So I j you there's a place where you can reply to people's public, reviews. I said, "It's 100% true. I started the lesson by mentioning none of my previous experiences teaching people working in finance departments have been successful. I don't know why exactly. I'm not much of a numbers person, and accountants just don't like me." Then I tried to show my thinking tools could solve problems. She mentioned that people in her organization generally took a very long time to reply to her and avoided meeting her. So we used my tools to show how we could find solutions to her problem. I think the main issue was that I had a few really exciting lessons with some advanced students today, and they have already completed my course. We were focused on solving specific issues they faced in their business, and I forgot that beginners need some time to express themselves and work through the theory first. Thanks for the feedback. It has been helpful. I'll remember to give the student more time to talk and remember that it takes time to master 20 tools I share to people help develop their thinking skills. Now, one of those two people who I had lessons with that I mentioned. So one of them left this comment. She said, "If you're looking for someone who can provide clear insights into business processes and guide you in decision making within the market, Blaine is definitely the person for you. Thank you for supporting me." Right? So you can't win them all. Some people. And this lady, we've been talking for years. Anyways, what I was talking about with this lady, that gave me the positive review was, data standards. So now that she's in this new job of, like CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, she was mentioning some of her problems that she's trying to deal with, and, at the end of the day, she said one of the main issues is data standards. So that really it helped me to start to think about data standards, CRM. And like, okay, so how do you set up your CRM tool? And then the lesson right after hers was another guy. He's using Salesforce, and he is the guy. He's like the actual guy. So he's the one who set up the data standards inside of their Salesforce. This guy is like highly professional, extremely experienced. He understands the data, and his job in the company is to manage their Salesforce. And so with him, we had a completely different discussion. With him, we used well, I think we can actually get the audio for this. Yeah, we can. All right, so here it is. Hello, Gemini. So the thing is that actually we already have an example of data standards, and so for now we're not going to talk about data standards, but we're going to talk about something else. So in fact, one of the issues that I'm facing is that I already have a database. So now that we're talking about new situations, so imagine a situation where I already have a database, and if we use the concept of deliberate practice and the main categories we're thinking about going. All right, so we're talking about deliberate practice. So let me just oh, it's not in here. Where is it? It is in here. All right. So the original deliberate practice, if you remember, if you remember, is this is the new one. All right. So football, and we want to answer the question, how can I become a better football player? So using deliberate practice, we're gonna have some categories like physical fitness, ball handling, and spatial awareness. And then we can then change we can break that down into sub items. So for example, physical fitness is speed, power, strength, endurance, agility. The problem is that it's really hard to design a training exercise that's going to help you in speed because speed is not specific enough. So we need to focus on the elements. We have to focus on either acceleration speed or deceleration speed or top speed. You see, so we have different types of speed. And after we figure out like a very specific element, then we can design an exercise to improve that element. When you improve the elements, then you improve the subcategories. And then once you improve the subcategories, then you improve the category. And then once you improve the category, you improve the overall target. Right? Great. So now when we look at the concept of like after we have our data, the whole point of data, it depends on your CRM. But in general, CRMs kind of have the same basic focus. All right, so then here it is. So deliberate practice. What skills do we need to succeed? How do you become a better football player? We're not becoming a better football player. How can we increase your how can we increase sales using our data? Create formulas of data points, and then we can create goals around improving the result based on specific data points, relationship between data points. So this was actually it took us the whole so okay, so what we did here is look, we got our data entry, that was one category. Analyze the data was a second category, and the third was trigger some kind of action. And it was a really interesting conversation. And I was actually surprised when it was done. I was like, whoa, I think we did something. I think we did something. All right. So when we talk about data entry, then the thing is we want to recognize the trigger to enter data. We need to find the challenge needed in the system. And then we need enforcement. So those are the sub items. All right. So elements are things like punishment, explanation, ability, spark trigger, methods, routine, notifications, culture, and pressure. We could go deeper into all these ideas, but for now, we'll just leave it at that. All right. So that's data entry. Now, if you focus on elements, like if we enforce some kind of punishment, if we have some exercise to explain to our sales staff the importance of like data and what so for example, what triggers if we create some triggers. So if we create a notification and also we create some kind of explanation, and then we also develop some type of routine, then it's likely that we'll be able to the salespeople will recognize triggers to enter their data. And then also, they need to find the change needed in the system, which means what? Methods. So we need to have some kind of method. And also, we have to give people the ability to be able to find the change needed in the system. And then enforcement. So we need to figure out how to create some kind of punishment, maybe some kind of spark trigger. And then we need to create a culture where people are pressuring each other to enter data into the system. Second is analyze data. So which data points are heavy, so we're talking about weighting, adding some weight to certain types of data points. For example, why did we lose a sale? Where and why did we lose the sale? Then we talk about data quality. Is the data correct? Then we talk about combinations. Now, this is the key about this idea called combinations. This is where actually it kind of connects us back to the finance department because the finance department, one of the reasons why it's so difficult for me to work with people from finance departments is because they already have the formulas. And if you already have the formulas, then why are you talking to me? See, the reason people talk to me is because I work with, I help people go from zero to one. So it's like you don't have anything. We don't know anything. Like we're not sure what the answer is. How do we get the answer? We have zero. And okay, well, we use thinking tools. And then once you use your thinking tool, then eventually what's going to happen is you're going to have something to work with. Right? So here's the thinking tool. Here's deliberate practice. We use the concept of deliberate practice, and eventually we were able to talk about the importance of data entry. And then we were talking about the importance of analyzing data. So he talked about hit rate, price, location, time delivery, time response time, production time, value, things like that. Now, of course, we can go deeper over time, but at least this is from 0 to 1. This is something from nothing. And then finally, we got something to trigger the actions. For example, we need to bring in new processes. So, what's the business steps? We need some automate. We need to learn think about automate how to automate processes. We need to think about how to penalize bad habits. We need to understand requirements and change them. So, how do we change the price? Look, so these are things that we could change. But the main idea is we want to be able to create formulas, just like people in finance departments. We want to be able to create formulas of data points and then create goals around improving the results based on specific data points. So we're talking about a relationship between data points. So just like finance departments, they already have these fancy words, ROI, PNL. It's well established. That's why there's no point in talking to me because it's already well established. But if it's not well established, or if you haven't figured it out yet, then you can talk to me and we'll figure out the relationship between data points. Wait, no, the step before that, we'll figure out the relationship of what it means to do this job. Because what are we actually trying to do? So the overall goal for this particular student is right now we're trying to design an AI assistant that can help him with his work. And so the first thing that we needed to do was clearly define what types of work that he does. And then after we've defined this work, then we can then start to think about how we can train the robot. All right. Now, so the first thing that we want to do in this situation, I explained everything in that thing. Okay, so what are we going to do in a month two in month two? Okay, so here we go. What are some insights that we can draw from this, and what are some action steps we can take in the next 90 days? So break it up into 3 months, and then what are we going to do in month 1, 2, and 3? We have some principle or a couple of principles we want to enforce in the month. And then what do you want to enforce in month 3? And then give us some bullet points like a checklist thing, things we can do, some action items so we can start implementing right away in order to find out what we're going to work on and make changes within our organization. All right, so here it is. Now let's see if we can get this audio. If it doesn't work, I'm going to have to reshare my screen. Okay, you can't hear it. All right, I'm going to stop.
Deliberate practice framework and to create a 90-day action plan with guiding principles and a concrete checklist. The session is initiated by Lisa. Lisa, team, the project lead has given us a new, critical objective: increase sales. They've provided a detailed deliberate practice framework to guide our thinking, which breaks the problem down into data entry, data analysis, and triggering actions. My initial assessment is that this is a perfect application of our model. The data entry problem is a classic engine issue, dependent on the people doing the work. The analysis is our steering wheel, and headlights and triggering actions is the outcome of our strategic decisions. Brain, you are responsible and accountable for analyzing this framework and proposing a phased 90-day plan. Pinky, your input on the realities of the current data entry process will be crucial. The brain, understood. The framework itself dictates the timeline. We cannot trigger actions on analysis we haven't performed, and we cannot analyze data that isn't being entered reliably. Therefore, our 90-day plan must follow this logical sequence. Month 1 will be dedicated to perfecting data entry. Month 2 will focus on establishing robust data analysis. Month 3 will be about beginning to trigger intelligent actions. The most critical insight from the framework is that the entire data entry category is about human behavior, culture, routine, motivation. This is a change management challenge before it is a technical one. Pinky, from your perspective as the clerk who manages processes, what is the biggest obstacle preventing the sales team from entering high-quality data right now? Pinky, the primary obstacle is that the sales team views data entry as a chore that provides no immediate personal benefit. It's perceived as a top-down requirement that takes time away from actual selling. The routine is inconsistent because the spark, the motivation, is low. They don't see how the data they enter helps them close their next deal or make more commission. Lisa, thank you, Pinky. That confirms the analysis. Our entire strategy must be built around solving that specific problem. We cannot just enforce rules. We must demonstrate value directly to the sales team. Therefore, the guiding principle for our first month must be, make it easy, make it valuable. We need to simplify their workflow and give them immediate, personal insights from the data they provide. Brain, please structure the full 90-day plan based on this discussion and our guiding principles for each month. 90-day action plan, increasing sales using data. Here is the actionable, 3-month plan created by the team to address your objective. Month 1, perfecting data entry. Guiding principle, make it easy, make it valuable. The focus is on winning the trust and cooperation of the sales team by demonstrating the immediate, personal benefits of high-quality data. Action checklist. Audit the current workflow. Map every single step and field a salesperson currently uses to enter data. Identify the top 3 friction points that take the most time. Lead, Pinky as clerk. Conduct listening tour. Interview 2 to 3 top performing and 2 to 3 struggling salespeople to understand their frustrations and what information they wish they had. Lead, Lisa. Launch, quick win, individual dashboards. Create a simple, personalized dashboard for each salesperson that shows them their own pipeline health, e.g., deal velocity, win rate. This must be based only on the data they enter, creating a direct feedback loop. Lead, Brain, with Pinky as librarian. Establish the single source of truth rule. Formally communicate to the entire team that if a deal or activity is not in the CRM, it does not exist for commission or reporting purposes. Lead, Lisa. Month 2, establishing robust analysis. Guiding principle, from raw data to real insight. With better data flowing in, the focus shifts to creating standardized analysis that reveals why we win or lose. Action checklist. Verify data quality. Run a report to confirm that the data entered since the start of month 1 adheres to the new standards and that MVR, minimum viable record, completeness has improved. Lead, Brain. Develop standardized win-loss analysis report. Create a template that analyzes closed deals, focusing on the heavy data points, lead source, response time, location, price, and competitor mentioned. Lead, Brain. Initiate weekly sales data review. Hold the first weekly 30-minute meeting where Lisa presents the key findings from the win-loss report for the sales team, focusing on actionable insights. Lead, Lisa. Create a predictive lead score. Develop and test a simple formula that combines different data points, e.g., industry, company size, lead source, to create a lead score that helps salespeople prioritize their efforts. Lead, Brain. Month 3, beginning to trigger actions. Guiding principle, data-driven decisions, not gut feelings. The focus is on using the insights from month 2 to make 1 or 2 specific, measurable changes to our sales process. Action checklist. Identify the number 1 deal killer. Based on 2 months of analysis, identify the single biggest, addressable reason we lose deals. Lead, Lisa, Brain. Launch a process experiment, design and launch a single, targeted action to counter the number 1 deal killer. E.g., if slow response time is the issue, trigger an automated notification to the salesperson and their manager for any lead untouched for more than 3 hours. Lead, Brain, with Pinky as technician. Address 1 bad habit. Identify 1 common bad data habit, e.g., deals sitting in one stage for too long, and implement an automated process to flag these for review. Lead, Lisa. End of quarter review. At the end of the 90 days, hold a review session with the whole team to present the results of the process experiment and use the findings to plan the next 90-day cycle. Lead, full team.
All right, good. So it's interesting. So kind of like a data standards document, which talks about what are the things that you need to think about when you start to create a CRM tool, when you start to use a CRM tool. And then we had this little conversation about like what it takes to create a 90-day increasing sales using data plan. So this is after you set up your CRM and you've been using it for a while, then you want to figure out how to get everyone on board, make sure they're using the CRM properly. And we use the concept of deliberate practice in order to create that by focusing on what does it actually take to increase sales using our data. And all of this was prompted on the idea that I wanted to start to figure out who is my. And so then I found a couple of websites that talk about success stories. So now I got a couple of different websites that have success stories, and then I can add all of those success stories to Notebook LM. And then once I have it all in Notebook LM, now I can chat with those stories. Didn't we ask for? Yes. Remember, the last thing we want to do is we want to chat again with our Notebook LM. Okay, of course, this is a critical step to moving to product development go-to-market strategy. We need to translate the market research from Notebook LM into actionable list of targets. This requires designing a clear, effective prompt. As the brain, my function is to create structured, logical systems to achieve a goal. I will provide you with two distinct optimized prompts. First is for your immediate task with the existing 50 user stories. The second is a powerful, scalable prompt for future deep research to generate a large scale outreach for Notebook LM analysis of 50 user stories. The prompt is designed to be given to Notebook LM with your 50 user stories already loaded. It's structured to exact maximum value and create. Okay, so then we just go, hello, Notebook LM. Hello. Hello. Okay. Now, so we just take this prompt, jumped over LM. All right, so it says, I'm the founder of a software product designed to help companies use project management tools like Monday.com. My product's core function. My product helps managers communicate more effectively with executives to align on company mission and vision in order to create clear objectives. It also helps those managers communicate the objectives to their team so they can generate robust, well-aligned task lists in their existing project management software. Your task, based on the 50 Monday.com customer stories that you have access to in the sources, please generate a detailed strategic report. The report should be structured in the following 5 sections. Begin by summarizing the core problem my product solves, using evidence and quotes from the sources. The existence of this problem within Monday.com user base. The problem is communicate gap between executives' vision and team execution. Number two, identification. Identify three primary user personas involved in this problem: the executive, the manager, and the team member. For each persona, provide the following summary of their tasks: specific challenges, pain points related to strategy and task management, desired outcomes and benefits they seek from new solution. Briefly highlight how these companies currently use Monday.com to manage tasks, tracking status, assigning owners, setting dates. This demonstrates their existing investment in structured work management. Complementary value proposition. Explain how my product acts as a strategic pre-processor for Monday.com. Describe how it complements their existing tool by filling the specific gap in strategic communication and objective setting before tasks are ever entered into Monday.com. Initializing target listing cohorts. Finally, analyze 50 companies from the sources and produce a list of top 10, 15 companies that appear to be the best fit for my company, for my product. For each company, list its name and primary pain point mentioned in their story that's my product solves. Then group these companies into logical cohorts based on their industry: software, tech, marketing, healthcare, nonprofit. Please provide a final output, clean, well organized markdown format. Okay. Now, the problem is you can't actually give a prompt that long. What did it say? Anyway, so here we got mhm. Oh, sorry, I didn't actually. So I just like I said, did Notebook LM respond well to prompt one? Here's the response. What's missing? And then so I put in the first one. Now here's the second one. So it didn't actually. I don't know. It didn't. It doesn't seem like it did it. So, but I don't really want to think through it myself. I'd rather just let the computer do it, and then it'll produce a new. Okay, generate an exhaustive list up to 10,000 companies for B2B SaaS production. Product is the key tool. Targeting companies. Task is to do this. Key here. Companies. Fit name. Okay. 10,000. 10,000 companies. Now, the other thing is here's an excellent, this is an excellent first pass. So, how do you say 补充? 补充 supplement. It's funny how, like, I was thinking about this yesterday. Like, I actually have two native languages because the weird thing about Chinese, usually, so what happens with Chinese kids when they move to America when they're really young is that they learn English, and it's almost like it becomes their second language, but they learn it like as a native, like as a child. So it's almost like it's a native, uh, it's like a native language for them to some extent. So then what happens is like the kids that move. In fact, when I hear Chinese kids that move to Canada, and then I meet them as adults. When I meet them in their 20s or 30s, I can usually hear just from the way that they speak, like how old they were when they moved to Canada. And the thing is, like, for me, Chinese is actually like a second native language. Now, it's true that I have some weaknesses with vocabulary and with like overall comprehension, especially cultural comprehension, because I didn't move to China until I was 23 years old. But it's like ingrained, it's like deeply ingrained in me. And now that I'm learning Russian and French, it's like a completely different experience. There we go. That's better. All right. We must be getting close to the limit of our crisp. 7 minutes left. Direct access is strategic preprocessor. Target persona is the executive, the manager, the team member. Cohorts. Professional services like Howard Kennedy and Vistra. Travel and tourism. Flight center. Lacks transparency between everyone in the same strategy. Cohort. Nonprofit education. Better health. Better Health Network. San Diego County Office Education. RMI. Cohort technology. Cohort financial services. Cohort retail and CPG. Cohort media and advertising. Recommended next actions. Create a Trello board to manage outreach for 15 companies listed above. Develop a 3-step email outreach sequence for manager personas at these companies. Highlight core value propositions. Launch targeted social media campaign. LinkedIn with the headline. Stop chasing updates. Start aligning objectives. Final prompt for deep research. Okay, that's interesting. All right, so let's let it work on the search. I'm just gonna copy this and turn that off. I'm gonna open this section. Will start a new chat. Okay, new chat. I'm gonna use reasoning deep research. 10,000 companies. Product context. The product is this. The primary we're targeting companies that have already invested in. Based on the criteria. Criteria 1, technograph signal. The company shows evidence in using modern project management software. Sources, job postings that mention the tool in their website integration page, press releases, etc. Problem aware signal. Company's public communications. Primary strategic alignment, leadership, visibility, signal source of truth, disseminate vision, connected strategy. Firmograph signal, high priority industries. Press- Cohort definition. Group companies in one of the following: high growth tech, predominantly. Okay, perfect. Okay, good. I like that. All right, what's next? So, well, I guess what we're doing now is we're gonna start. So then the question is, do we need this ClickUp information? I mean, no, we don't really need this ClickUp information because the whole point was to scrape the data and then to come up with the prompt to do the deep research. And then after we finish the deep research, then the next step is to actually create the Trello board. Okay. So I'm just going to close that notebook LM and all the other stuff. Okay, I want to update my robot, and this is done by giving the LLM training. Why is this going on? Let's put it in done digitally done because I don't want to look at it anymore. Update the PRD. Yeah, I updated the PRD. Training. Yeah, we did the training. All members are created. Yeah, it's Lisa, the brain, and Pinky. Have them discuss the idea behind imitate and decide their roles in a discussion. Well, anyways, we finished that. Add three competitors next to the element of the value proposition. Huh. I started automating automatic testing on the windsurf, and current work should be added to the new AI instance after you finish creating the team. What? Okay, add three competitors next to the element. Okay, so what's that talking about? That's talking about this. Now, let's open up Gemini in a different window. All right. So now that you have a really good understanding of what my company is and what it does, and like all the different things that we want to do as we release our MVP website, and we start to try to draw attention to our website and get people using our piece of software. And suddenly I just realized that it would be interesting, based on our value proposition, how many other types of companies are providing the same value proposition. And I want you to put it into three different categories. The categories are based on the concept of, well, we know there's the Porter's five forces. And I think that three of those five forces are interesting for this type of thinking. Now, one is called threat of substitutes. The next is called threat of new entrants. And the third is rivalry among existing competitors. And so, what you can do is you could think about the elements of the value proposition that is going to be offered. And you could split the value proposition. Either it's one value proposition, for example, maybe you could say that it's a brainstorming, a process whereby managers can create objectives and then work with their team to carry out those objectives. But I think that you have a better way of defining the value proposition and then splitting it up into a variety of different sub value propositions. And then under each of the sub value propositions, I want you to list the established competitors and then talk about threats of new entrants. So you could call that innovative competitors. So people who are all already within or near the industry and who are creating new and innovative approaches to solving those elements of the value proposition. And then, like I mentioned already, the established competitors. So, who are companies that are already attacking one or more of the elements of the value proposition that I am now addressing? And also some substitutes. So, that means like, what are people using in order to solve these problems currently? Let me just check the audio. My crisp just ran. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. So, we're just getting to the end of the video here. And let's jump back into Trello. So there's two things that we need to do. One thing is we need to add three competitors as the current task. Now we need to create a new Trello board, board as a CRM. Anything else? We need to save the deep research file and find a way to pump up the jam, pump the target companies into the CRM factory. And we need to think about creating a social media campaign. And I started automatically testing windsurfing. Current work should be added to the new AI instance after you finish creating the team. I started automatic testing on windsurf and the current work. Okay. New Trello board CRM. Save the deep research. Think about creating social media. And how to think. Okay. How to think about the list of competitors. What else? Finish testing the website and then upload it to a domain name. I don't know. Is that enough? Let's just check on tasks.
For setting and communicating clear objectives. I see three distinct sub-value propositions within this. 1. Guided strategic brainstorming, the tools and processes that help a manager and executive think clearly to define a strategic direction before an objective is even written. 2. Collaborative objective setting, the framework for taking that strategic direction and collaboratively articulating it into a clear, well-defined, and communicable objective with all necessary context. 3. Task management enhancement and integration, the ability to seamlessly connect that well-formed objective to an existing work management system, like link to monday.com, to ensure the resulting task list is perfectly aligned. Here is the competitive analysis for each of these value propositions. Competitive landscape analysis. 1. Sub-value proposition, guided strategic brainstorming, the process of generating and choosing a strategic direction. Rivalry among existing competitors. These are companies that sell dedicated tools for strategy and brainstorming. Miro and Mural, digital whiteboard platforms designed for collaborative brainstorming, mind mapping, and workshops. They are highly flexible but lack a structured, opinionated process like our modules. AHA and Cascade Strategy, robust strategic planning platforms that help companies set high-level goals and roadmaps. They are powerful but often complex, enterprise-focused, and less about the initial, fuzzy, brainstorming. MindMeister and XMind, dedicated mind mapping software for organizing thoughts visually. Threat of new entrants, innovative competitors. These are companies using new technology, primarily AI, to solve the same problem differently. Notion AI and ChatGPT, LLMs, generative AI, tools that users can prompt to brainstorm ideas, analyze trends, and outline strategic plans. They are incredibly powerful but require skilled prompting and lack a guided, repeatable workflow. Specialized AI strategy tools, a new wave of startups building AI strategy co-pilots, that promise to automate market research and generate strategic recommendations. Threat of substitutes, the status quo, what people use if they don't buy a dedicated tool. This is often our biggest competitor. Unstructured meetings, a manager and executive simply getting in a room with a blank whiteboard or no tools at all. Standard office software, using Google Docs, Microsoft Word, or PowerPoint to write down ideas in a linear document. Pen, paper, and sticky notes, the original, analog method for brainstorming sessions. 2. Sub-value proposition, collaborative objective setting. The process of creating a well-defined OKR or project objective. Rivalry among existing competitors. These are companies focused on goal and performance management, often using the OKR framework. Lattice, BetterWorks, Co-on. Platforms focused on performance management, which includes robust OKR and goal-setting modules. They are often tied to HR functions like reviews and employee engagement. Link to Monday.com, Asana, ClickUp, native features. The project management incumbents themselves are all adding goals, or OKR, features directly into their platforms. They compete by bundling this functionality with task management. Threat of new entrants, innovative competitors. The innovation here is often in process and user experience rather than pure technology. Link to Ali.io, now Microsoft Viva Goals, a dedicated OKR platform that was acquired by Microsoft and is now being deeply integrated into the Teams and Microsoft 365 ecosystem, bringing OKRs directly into the flow of daily work. AI, goal coaches, emerging tools that use AI to analyze a user's goal and suggest ways to make it more specific, measurable, and achievable, more like a smart goal assistant. Threat of substitutes, the status quo. Spreadsheets. The ubiquitous OKR spreadsheet is the most common substitute. It's free and flexible but prone to errors, hard to maintain, and disconnected from the actual work. Shared documents. A Google Doc or Word document where the quarterly objectives are written down and stored. Company-wide presentations. A PowerPoint deck presented at an all-hands meeting that outlines the goals for the quarter, which are then often forgotten. 3. Sub-value proposition, task management enhancement and integration. The process of connecting clear objectives to daily tasks. Rivalry among existing competitors. These are companies that specialize in connecting different software tools together. Zapier and Make, formerly Integromat, workflow automation platforms. A user could theoretically build a complex Zap to connect to Google Doc where objectives are written to their link to Monday.com board. This is extremely flexible but requires significant.
Okay, I mean, I would say in general that wasn't terribly useful because, like, which specific companies provide prompts to help managers decide on what endeavors to pursue and help them think through objectives in order to create better task lists. SWOT analysis and business model canvas. Okay, so um, other than SWOT analysis and business model canvas, what other thinking tools and thinking methodologies are people using to define and think through objectives to be able to create more robust, goal-oriented task lists. Now, the obvious answer is just AI. So, I mean, this gives me an idea because the thing is that what that means is, you want your platform, right? Like you have a platform with these thinking tools. And, I don't care if people are using AI or not. That's the main point is not whether they're or not they're using AI. The main thing is that I want them on my website and I want them to be using my root cause analysis, Porter's five forces, what's the pestle? Political, economic, social. Okay. Journey mapping. Okay. What's this one? Vision, values, methods, obstacles. Not really. Blue Ocean got that one. First principles thinking. Okay. Critical paths method. President schedule set objectives, activities. Uh-huh. All right. So it's like I don't see any. It's like it's having a difficult time really thinking about what is. All right. So what did I learn from this? Maybe the best thing to do is to have like we could call it what? We could call it a smart goal, a smart goal coach. So imagine you have this website, right? And then on the left side is like the prompt questions that we're going to be discussing, and on the right hand side, it's the smart goal coach. And then what you can do is as you go through, uh, so let's see. Well, what you want to do is you'd want to copy. So you've entered a bunch of data into the website, and you want to be able to copy it. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, the main point is that you want people to remain. You want people to stay on your website, but then other people they want to copy the information that they got from the website. They want to put it into their own AI, and then they can figure out how to solve the problem using their own AI. So you got a situation where a lot of people are going to use the website and then they're going to start using their AI tool. So they're using the website and then they pull the information and then they use their tool. They're going to the website, then they're pulling the information and putting it into their other tools. Website tools. And then eventually what you want is that you want to keep them in the website longer. So then how do you keep the web people? All right. Well, anyways, the first goal is to get people to get to the website, and then we can think about how to get them to stay longer later. Seems like the AI is definitely a competitor, but that doesn't have to be the competitor. It could because eventually you can add other AI tools on your website, and so that's not really a long-term problem. Okay, so new Trello board as a CRM. Didn't it say it had something about the CRM? What were the categories you mentioned earlier for the, the Trello board that you want me to make regarding the, the CRM initiative? All right, so we're going to create a new Trello board, create a new board. Board title. The board title is called, Go to Market Strategy. Based on our simulated, we decided a group initiative, 15 target companies into cohorts. Based on categories of cohorts of the Trello board would be titled Q3 Outreach Cohort 1. The title. So it said it wants to do a Q3 outreach cohort. So it's like it's got these. I don't know why it says 15 target companies into cohorts. So the cohorts was professional services, travel, tourism, nonprofit, education, technology, financial services, retail, CPR, and media advertising. So I said, what are the columns? Use the data standards questionnaire to think about the categories these companies would go through on the board. Of course, as the brain. So the Trello structure is the Q3 outreach pipeline. So we're going to change the name of the board to Q3 outreach pipeline. Column 1, target list backlog. The starting point, all 15 companies from Notebook LM represents the raw unqualified data, researching and identifying contacts. Outreach in progress. Marketing qualified leads. Sales accepted leads. Sales qualified leads opportunities. Closed. Closed, lost. And there's a lot of columns. On hold. Title, description, contact information, primary pain point, interactive log, label, use Trello labels for cohorts, use blue labels for professional services. Labels. Okay, professional services. I don't know, I get the feeling like maybe Trello is not the best for this. Tour. Two, please, nonprofit education. Technology. don't know how to change the color of the cards. Label. You can create labels. All right, let's not do this right now. Define the technical plan for the simplified objectives builder. I did that already. Okay, the CEO is not keeping up with his. Then we got the develop app. Okay, design a single user. What is going on? Design a single session user brain. Okay, just research Trello API for creating cards. Where was I? This video. What is it? This video. Why does it say this video? New Trello board as CRM. Deep research. Yeah, it's not exactly. Okay, it's fine. It doesn't really matter. Oh, what's this? Code snippet. The following list represents initial curated sample of 100 target companies. Okay. Do that right now. All right.